nearly extinct. Farming at that time was already set to conquer its Everests of improvement. Rivers of government cash flowed into subsidies for everything imaginable. The import of faster-growing continental livestock, new and super-productive crops, fertilizers that flowed from white plastic sacks rather than freely from cows' backsides, pesticides that killed their target species, and much more besides. Guilds of focused advisors in drab brown overalls and tiny vans met farmers free of charge to explain how to employ this largesse. Colleges produced legions of indoctrinated students who marched out in ranks to feed the world. Research stations, laboratories, and experimental farms, all centrally funded, were established throughout the land. Meadows, full of dancing wildflowers, or woodlands, where spotted flycatchers dipped and weaved to catch beakfuls of insects twirling in sunlit strobes, did not fit the narrative of those times. Most were ploughed under, or ripped free from the soil that had held them for centuries for incineration on pyres well prepared. Birds of all sorts died in myriads when cornfields, old pastures, and orchards were sprayed with new toxins. Frogs returned to breed in the spring to ancestral ponds now filled in. There are pictures of them in black and white, sitting in massed aggregations on their drying spawn with no water. The photographers who took those images wept. Breeds of livestock with their roots buried deep in Britain's culture were discarded as well. It did not matter that they had adapted to frugal living to produce something, a little meat, milk, horn, or dung to fertilize small fields for folk who had nothing and could offer them less. Who cared if they'd been brought by the Norse or the Romans or the Celts? They were out of time, small and slow growing, difficult to handle with independent spirits. The sooner they were all gone, the better. Their other qualities of disease resistance, fine wool, or superlative meat meant nothing. Any adaptation to specific environments was meaningless in a time when whole landscapes could be rearranged. To be clear, as individuals, I like farmers very much. It's the great false idol of the industrial machine that so many unblinkingly worshipped that's the problem. In the main, they are a well-humoured bunch. The old ones with the good stories always are best, and I have spent many hours sitting in their cosy kitchens listening to their tales, where small dogs snooze next to agas and busy wives bustled to serve cakes. There was slight Henry Cowan, who regretted till the day he died that he'd allowed a passing dealer to buy his last 2 horses, kept long after the others had gone for the glue works. Tall Francis Watson, a big bear of a man, who at the age of 17 had guarded the palace of the Nizams in Hyderabad, and whose great joy it was to linger for no particular purchase in our village shop to converse with its Pakistani proprietors in Urdu. Slight Miss Bartholomew, whose old cats pissed on her house chairs and whose ancient pet pigs were turned by her stockman daily to ease their bed sores when they could no longer stand. All once of great colour who have passed now in time. Their world was simpler, of clear rights and dark wrongs. The reapers who harvested in their golden youths are not the sort that scythe the earth today. The prospect that the land that they had cleared of rocks and drained and deforested and then reforested and enriched and impoverished in the swiftest succession would ever be used again for any purpose other than farming would not to them have seemed plausible at all. The notion that some of the oldest beasts could be restored to accelerate nature's gain would have seemed absurd. So why bother to bring back bison to Britain, when we could be content to sit back in our slippers and reintegrate beavers into the countryside, which, in theory at least, is as easy as falling off a stationary bus? The answer, in large part, is process. If, as seems tantalizingly tangible, we are going to move from an era of unequivocal public subsidy for farming 70% of the British landmass, 23 million acres, in some form or another, then at least a few of the large creatures we hunted to extinction may be restored in a limited fashion to assist this endeavour. Bison, for example, are not cattle. They are high forest browsers. If you reinstall them in dark, dull plantations,